So, like many of you here probably know the story, but I'll repeat it, and then we can talk about what happened. Two young African-American men walked into a Starbucks store. They asked to use the bathroom. We had a bad policy in which it was really the manager's discretion. She was white, and she said, you can't use the bathroom unless you buy something. And they said, well, no, we're here to meet somebody, and we'll buy something later. And just in a matter of minutes, a verbal problem occurred, and she decided that she felt the threat, and she called 911. And within 10 minutes, 6 police officers showed up and immediately handcuffed these two young men and arrested them. Now, thank God they did not resist. And all of a sudden, we had a real serious problem. It was videotaped, it was taped on someone's phone, and it was put on the web, and 10, 15 million people saw it within a couple of hours. And Starbucks was completely at fault. Now, there was a tremendous level of immediate rush to judgment that the blame should be on the manager. And it was not the manager's fault. It was the fault of the company. And the fault was we had a policy that was not clear, and unfortunately, that policy led to a bad decision. We came to Philadelphia within 24 hours. We met with the two young men. We met with the head of police. We met with the DA. We met with clergy. And we tried everything possible to both apologize for a reprehensible act, but also, what can we learn from this? And that's the real question. And I would say, I believe that almost everyone here, if not all of us, have some level of unconscious bias based on our own life experience. And we felt strongly that we needed to take a step back from this incident and understand what we needed to do. So we solicited the help and advice of experts in the field on diversity and racial injustice in America, and as a result of that, developed a curriculum. And then we decided that we would close every store for an entire afternoon after the curriculum was done and train 180,000 people on bias training and racial issues of how to deal with people who are different than you, and understand that we all come to this issue sometimes not wanting to discuss it and with a prejudgment about someone else who might be different than us. This curriculum has endured with every new hire and ongoing on a quarterly basis at Starbucks. And I said something last night on national TV that I think was misinterpreted, but I'll try and explain it. I grew up, as I said earlier, in public housing, and in a very diverse area where there were about 80, 90 families in one building and a single elevator. And as a young boy, I didn't see color. My parents were not people who in any way were prejudiced, and that's how I grew up. And I said something like that last night, and it was misinterpreted. I think we are living at a time right now where there's been a lot of incitement in many ways by the President of the United States. And I think the President of the United States holds a deep level of responsibility for the morality and the character and the integrity and the dignity of how we deal with each other, especially with regard to the values of humanity. And we have a lot of work to do, and I think it doesn't help that we have one incident, one episode after another, where we see a demonstration of a lack of respect for people who are not our same skin color or religion. And what I would say is this, is that regardless of your station in life, the color of your skin, your ethnic background, your sexual orientation, that everyone in America needs to be respected and valued, and everyone needs to have the same opportunity. And I think we have a long way to go.
Sir, my name is Melissa. I'm the person who videotaped and shared the arrest in your store. And I pledged after that day that I would not stay silent when I heard something. And I very respectfully, I need to say to you, you are not describing the incident accurately. And the way you're describing it is perpetuating the problem. And I know you want to be part of there was words between the two of them, and she felt threatened.
Wow.
That didn't happen. I saw it with my own two eyes. I was there. So I don't mean to be disrespectful, and I know that might be very uncomfortable, but you continue to say you want to have uncomfortable conversations. Well, that's a conversation we need to have.
I didn't expect that you would stand up, but okay. So you were there, and I wasn't. So I have great respect for what you saw and what you filmed. I think it's very important to say something to you with regard to how I responded on national TV a few days later with Gayle King. And I think this is a very important point because this is a very important subject that I do take very personally. And even before the Philadelphia incident, I was very active in trying to raise the national conversation about race, and unfortunately it didn't go well when we tried to elevate the national conversation about race together. You might remember that. And I wasn't planning on running for president when I did that. But the point I want to make is I was advised before a nationally televised interview with Gayle King not to say something that I knew was not true. And what was true is I spent time with the manager one-on-one. And I just asked her a simple question. And I asked her if those two young men were white, would she have called the police? And to her credit, she said, probably not. And so once I heard that, I knew that what occurred was a form of racial profiling. And I was advised that you can't possibly say that on national TV because that's going to damage the company, the equity of the brand. You shouldn't do that. But once I knew what she said, I felt I had a moral obligation to say the truth. So when Gayle King asked me on national TV, do you think this was racial profiling? I said it was. And so I may not have been there, but I can tell you on a personal level, on a very emotional level, I was deeply, deeply concerned about what happened, and we've done everything possible to try and learn from it and get better. But this is not an isolated situation at Starbucks, as you know. This is a situation that the country is dealing with, and we have to get better at it. And I agree with you. We need to have conversations that might be uncomfortable.
So I asked
let's stop there, okay?
Yeah, that's enough. Thank you. Thank you, though, for raising it.